Greetings to our viewers from across the globe. You're welcome to Visual Media. I'm Odiawa AI, and we'll be talking about the off-cycle elections, which we've been monitoring right from yesterday as at 9 o'clock when accreditation and every other voting exercise as regards the off-cycle elections took off. Now, even before the off-cycle elections, it's been a political race, quite a long one, more than 100 meters, call it a 4 by 4 or a marathon race amongst the candidates of different political parties. Now, they are all together now. The elections are over, but the dust on the racetrack is yet to settle. Now, subsequent occurrences have actually taken place from various anomalies or abnormalities across these three states in the off-cycle elections. And when I mean the three states, I'm talking about Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa, particularly in Kogi and Imo states. But Bayelsa started suffering its own similar fate after the collation of the results, particularly in Brass local government area. Now, Imo State has actually gotten to know who will be leading its state for the next 4 years by name Governor Hope Uzodinma, who is actually the incumbent governor of the state. Now, congratulatory messages have actually been pouring in, particularly from the Senate president, who is also an APC member, a member of the All Progressives Congress, and also the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. He has also extended his greetings to him also. We could also see the popular, renowned social media sensation, Obi Cubana, also taken to the streets of Imo State to celebrate the uh, victory or triumph of Hope Uzodinma. Now, in a statement delivered by Senator Godswill Akpabio, he actually said good governance has triumphed over propaganda. But observers such as Serap have actually called INEC to actually visit the abnormalities which have taken place in these elections. Not only Serap, also Huriwa, the Human Rights Association of Nigeria. Now, among these other observers, too, elder statesman Edwin Clark has also joined these other two to ring out or sound out INEC with one voice that they should actually check out what actually went down during these irregularities and also bring offenders to book. We have Dr. Dija with us on the show, and she will be answering some questions concerning these off-cycle elections, and also I want to believe share her own opinion concerning these off-cycle elections. You're welcome to the show, Dr. Dija.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so doctor, will you can you hear me, doctor? Doctor, I would like to know what your take is on the just concluded elections. Apparently, it appears we lost Dr. Dija. That maybe she will be coming back to join us soon. So moving on further in stories making rounds, stories making the rounds in these elections, we have like I mentioned earlier on, Edwin Clark ordering the or urging INEC to actually investigate the irregularities in the off-cycle elections. Labour Party also has actually decided to move to court. Okay, I think we have Dr. Dija back on the show. Dr. Dija, you're welcome back.
Thank you very much. I
Uh,
was trying to unmute my mic, but it was very.
Okay, we thought we lost you there. You're welcome back. I was asking initially what your, I want to believe you have been monitoring the elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa. Now, what do you think, or what's your opinion about the elections which have actually taken place? Were they credible or not? Judging from the videos we've seen on news platforms and social media over the vote buying, the recently we got reports that someone had been killed in Bayelsa, and not just the vote buying and the killing alone, the riggings and the INEC officials involved in all forms or sorts of anomalies. What's your take on the whole election in this off cycle?
Well, I sorry for the issues with my mic. So I can say for a start, every election in Nigeria is said and expected to be free and fair. But the problem comes from individual choices and differences because the system of election collation and um, manifestation of the results, in the sense that when the results are being collated, the process of election itself is questionable due to the levels or the point at which each result is handled by each person and the way the INEC office and to the point where it is announced on TV. So, from the recent killings in Bayelsa and the riggings and everything that was said to have happened, I followed that of Kogi more than I followed that of Bayelsa. But I can say for a start that the one election was adjourned on Saturday night, resume on Sunday, and based on this adjournment and everything that has happened, I won't say it is exactly free and fair because a lot of people have their individual I won't say individual differences. I'll just say basically we have a level of expectation for the rigging of the exercise. Like people believe that it will be free and fair to some extent, but the rigging is going to there are going to be some rigging. So when the expectation of that rigging, when there is a huge gap between the expected results and the results we see, then we feel like it happened during the presidential election. And when it happened, a lot of people said that, for example, the current president wasn't supposed to win, was supposed to win in Lagos and everything. So it was going to be a problem of people saying that if he had won in Lagos, it was as expected rigged. But it wasn't. He didn't win in Lagos and he won in other states, and he didn't win in FCT either. So the same thing. Looking at the poll results on Bayelsa State, we can see that in a winner a coming the results so far. I'm trying to check the results so far. From the results that have been collated so far, APC is leading, then PDP is also second, while LP is third in terms of how the margin of the results that we have seen so far. So we can say that APC's extreme margin, or the result, the gap between APC and other parties is questionable, possibly. And because it is questionable, a lot of people will believe that some rigging has taken place. But I, for one, I won't believe rigging has taken place. I just want to say that elections are expected to be free and fair, but due to individual due to individual occurrences, or due to a lot of things that might happen during the process of collation and everything, we can say that there is possibly a level of rigging. And if there is possibly a level of rigging, we can't term that rigging as what exactly caused the margin to be so much. But we can't also undermine the fact that the rigging is not. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like I'm going to say that we expect it to be a fair and fair election, but we've put a plus or minus of, okay, this is Nigeria. We know how African states, and especially West African states, are known for rigging elections, and we know how states in Nigeria and elections in Nigeria are allegedly free and fair, but are not exactly free and fair. But we can see from the results that there is a level of gap that APC gives other parties. But if APC gives those other parties under free and fair conditions, we won't necessarily raise an eyebrow. But at the same time, should we now discard these results and say that, okay, because a person was killed in a particular local government, and people were reported to have been seeing wrong figures placed on the screen and everything, then people who are reportedly said to have seen some rigging taking place in some polling units, then we are going to like discard these results. And because at the end of the day, whether the election was free and fair or not, this is the only methodology. This is the only thing we can bank on as what is going to give us, whether credible or not, the results of the election. There's no other way to do to do justice to electing a leader in a state or electing a governor in the particular state. So I feel like as much as we know that there might probably have been some rigging, we just still have to depend on the results because humans will always be humans. Right from the time immemorial, humans are known to have some um I don't want to say ways of getting what they want, whether it's right or not. But at the same time, there is a level of certainty and trust we need to have for INEC and the polling system used that we still have to depend on the results, whether it was free and fair or not. So that's my take.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dr. Dija. That was quite explanatory. But I've always had this feeling, if I may ask another question, that the system now, which you've talked about now, as far as I'm concerned, despite the introduction of the BVAs, which is, I would say, an aspect of digitalization, won't it be okay, or is it not due or long past due for a total overhaul of the electoral system to be digitalized? Whereby, for instance, I'm just giving an example whereby people can actually vote from their homes the same way they make their transactions with their mobile phones. Can't it be possibly effected that if voting is introduced, that people can vote with their phones from home? And as people are voting, those results are being seen instead of this manual escapade, whereby the issue of even logistics even has to affect the materials used for voting. What's your take on that?
I I believe that with the introduction of the BVAs, there's still necessary for other personnel to take charge of some of the processes of voting because we're right now we're in the digital age and we can't deny the fact that as much as we're in the digital we're in the digital age, we use our devices for banking, we use our devices for votes, we use our devices for exams, we use them for like the joint admission and matriculation board. There was a year that some schools had to do post UME from the confines of the home of the students and it was registered online and things like that. But we can see that despite all these measures taken by digitalizing this exam and these processes, there are still some loopholes in the system because humans will always be humans, like I like to say. So with the introduction of the BVAs, I feel the personnel that still take charge of some electoral processes are still needed because we know that despite the system of digitalizing things, things still get hacked. People still have issues with the banking digitalized. Despite digitalized banking systems, people still lose their money to online fraudsters and hackers. And I feel like the digitalized system is even as is almost easier than physical rigging because physical rigging will be so pronounced and manifested in terms of probably there will be loss of lives, there will be violence in the polling units that the rigging wants to take place, or live witnesses that can say, yes, we know that this thing was rigged because we saw people come and snatch the ballot boxes, we saw someone killed, we saw violence erupt. But when it comes to BVAs and online voting processes, like you suggested, why can't people vote from the confines of their home? I can tell you that some people can still access this website in ways that are not legal and try to like increase numbers and try to do things that are not do not actually indicate the direct or exact results of the election. So whether BVA or not, the human system, the human now, whether it's human system or the electoral, whether the electoral process is by physical human system or by online BVAs and things that are digitalized fully, there would always be that loophole that people can get. Because if there was a system that was hacked and the results of every polling unit was questionable, it won't be easily proved that yes, this thing was hacked and this thing is not directly the result of what was done. People, despite people voting from the confines of their home, the result is still questionable because why is this party leading with such a margin and the other party leading with such a margin? And every party has their own sentiments, every party has their own expectations, and every party has their own like expectation of what they want to we have in terms of registered voters numbers on their side, like the voters that vote for them. So if a party feels like there is something questionable about this result, despite the digitalized method that was used, it will still be questioned. So that's my take.
Okay, thank you for that. I still have a question considering the response you just gave now. Fine, the banking system we have the cyber crime laws actually penetrating people's banks accounts, hacking them. So many, we cannot actually justify 100% that a particular system is secured if there are no instruments in place to make sure that there are actually apparatus to make sure that there are no breaches. Shouldn't it be advisable if the electoral body has an electoral police on ground? For instance, we have the EFCC and the ICPC, which are saddled with the responsibilities of anti-graft practices. And we also have various security agents like the NDLA is addressed for drugs. So I think now the electoral body should also have its own police, which should be initiated to make sure that electoral practices which are not quite welcomed in the electoral cycle should be revisited. Now, for instance, now we introduce the e-voting now, and it's hacked. Results are doctored. Won't it be advisable to bring this electoral police on board to actually monitor the situation? Because even now, as we speak, the Nigerian military and the Nigerian police, to some candidates, to them who are losing the elections, actually, they said they have been compromised. So wouldn't it be advisable for the INEC body to have its own electoral police to actually checkmate these things? And how effective can this electoral police come on board if actually they are in existence?
Oh, thank you very much for that question. Where there is no law, there is no sin. Everything that has been established has shown that we always have loopholes. We always have those who want to go against the system, like the ICPC and the NDLEA against their enforcement, the Nigerian Drug Law and Enforcement Agency, and the ICPC and the EFCC against fraud and other fraudulent activities and other crime, financially related crimes. So basically, if to the best of my knowledge and opinion, I feel like if there is an electoral police that is well known and well trained for the process of like curtailing or mitigating any process of electoral dysfunction that comes online through the BBA and everything, there will still be loopholes. But yes, it will be a very great and commendable measure at reducing drastically the rate at which things are being the election results are being rigged by online fraudulent activities. Like in the sense that yes, it is a very good idea of getting the electoral police on board for curtailing things like that. But at the same time, do you think Nigeria is really ready and really equipped? Like, do you think Nigeria has the wherewithal and the power to, like, the ability and capability to equip those who are going to be in charge of curtailing such activities? At the same time, do you think Nigeria has the capability to be do you think Nigerian and the INEC has the foresight to realize that digitalizing the process of election is important, as well as appointing those who will reduce or those who police, like online police, like you said, those who will police the process. Because if we sit back and keep saying that is the only solution, and we get to that bridge and we realize that we don't have the necessary ingredients to and the necessary tools to course it, it is also a problem because at the same time we think that it is when we when we appoint police and equip them with the resources and the tools and skills needed to reduce electoral malpractices. At the same time, there will always be those who are the police of the online INEC process that will still probably be sentimental to a party, just as we have seen with electoral committee, we've seen electoral officials who are sentimental to a party and aid in the rigging process. Some are not even sentimental to the party, they are being paid and bought over. I stand corrected, but they are being paid and bought over such that they allow the rigging process. Some are being threatened with their lives and properties. So at the same time, we know that yes, the police is the solution, and putting making it digitalized and also putting people that will reduce the um that will reduce anything that can erupt from people trying to like rig the election through online means. But is that the permanent solution? No, my first question is Nigeria really ready for that? Is Nigeria able and capable to of officially employ people for that process and train them with the necessary skills. Are we that technologically advanced? And even if we are, won't there still be loopholes in the process after it is done? So that's my question.
Well, if you, thanks for that, Dr. DJ. But we will now look at it from addressing it from even the core of the foundation, whereby even corruption needs to be nipped in the bud, where people need to be really sensitized by educating them. Education doesn't just end in the four walls of the classrooms. You go to your churches, you go to your mosque, or your social gatherings, maybe from your village or something. There are people who need to actually sensitize people or educate people concerning so many practices that has to be void of corrupt practices. That is where we should actually even start from, I believe, in my own view, my own opinion. Now, as we speak now, information reaching me now is that 59 polling units have been cancelled and fixed or rescheduled for November 18 for the elections to take place, particularly in Kogi State, because as we speak, Ogorimagongo of the local government area of Kogi State, along with other wards in those areas, were also marred by electoral mishaps. And it has been so drawn to or drummed in the ears of INEC and the public, particularly by Senator Dino Melaye, for INEC to revisit these matters. And this has created so much awareness. Now, judging from these reports, will you say INEC is trying to preserve its image, considering the kind of heat now which they are facing currently?
Well, judging from this history of INEC and the current occurrences, I would say that INEC doesn't necessarily try to preserve its image with actions like this. They are just trying to reduce the heat because the image of INEC is always dependent on whether or not an election is free and fair. So if the election was not free and fair, and I can tell you for instance that the first thing that comes to the minds of an average Nigerian when they hear INEC is election, and the next thing that comes to their mind is rigging, like electoral malpractices and all, ballot box matching, and everything that is attached to it. So I feel like INEC is not necessarily concerned about their image because if it is about the image of INEC, I think they lost that credibility a long time ago. But at the same time, I feel like they're trying to reduce the heat and give Nigerians the satisfaction of yes, we are agree that you claim the local government. You said 18, right? We agree that you said there were complaints that there was questionable practices taking place during the electoral processes in these polling units, right? But if that's the case, let's reschedule. What is the assurance that that rescheduling won't come with its own secondary problems too, and things that will make them probably consider another rescheduling? There was a particular year in I think in 2019 that election was supposed to take place, and the president of the nation um, um, postponed it, and the postponement really affected a lot of people. But at the same time, it was said that some malpractices, some measures towards malpractice were being put in place. Some measures towards malpractice in the sense that not to curtail it, to like people who already they were already papers that had been voted upon that were already in the ballot boxes, and that was one of the reasons why the President Buhari then had to postpone the election. But I am assuring you that after the postponement, there was still other the election later took place 2 weeks later, and those processes were still complained about that there was questionable credibility during the process. So I feel like it's not really about the image of INEC because INEC doesn't have an image per se that is still looked up as like they are not looked upon as an extremely fair and fair body, or an extremely fair. They are not seen as those who take part in an extremely free and fair election, but they just want to reduce the heat because a lot of times these election violences they break out from people not being satisfied with the fact that their results and their voices were heard and their votes were counted. So I think they're just trying to curtail the possible effects, and they're trying to drastically reduce the magnitude of the manifestation of people's displeasure and satisfaction.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dija, for that one there. And very nice for you to make out time from your busy schedule, at least to analyze the elections or the off-cycle elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa. Thank you very much for having us. So we've heard it all there from Dr. Dija, who took time out to share or air her views concerning the off-cycle elections, and also a big thanks to other attendees who later on yesterday and today. I'm you will do what to subscribe and follow us across social media platforms. And don't forget to download Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. I'm Odiawa AI for Visual Media. Thanks for watching.
Greetings to you viewers from across the globe. You're welcome to the show Viewpoint.